In this video, I'm going to begin talking about DaVinci Resolve. In future videos, I'll talk about other aspects, other pages, and how to work with them in a basic fashion. In this video, we're going to talk about the projects and folder window, and then we're going to dive into the media page, and I'm going to give you some basic examples of how to work with that. So the first thing that we're going to look at is how do we create a new project, and also how do we create a folder if we've got multiple projects that we want to put into that folder. So DaVinci is going to either come up in this view, which will be the last project that you worked on, or you can come down to the home button down here on the bottom right, click on that, and that'll take us here. I'm going to move back up a level by double clicking on home, and that's going to take me to my top level. First thing I'm going to do is create a new folder. Clicking on the new folder button, I'm going to call this DR examples all, just to keep it simple. So now we have our folder. To move inside that folder and create a project inside there, I'm going to double click on the folder. Now come down to new project, and we'll call this one DR media page, just to keep it simple. So now that's opened me into a project with no media in it. I'm on the media page. And if you put your cursor over these icons, you'll see that the name of each one of these pages. If you're on another page, like the color page, just click on the media page and that'll bring us back here. How do we get our media into DaVinci so that we can actually work on it? Well, the first thing to do is to come over to the top right here, and you'll see that I have accessed my 16 terabyte G-Speed shuttle drive, and I've created a folder called Resolve Clips Storage. You can do the same thing or create your own folder setup. Now inside this, I've got other folders with DaVinci projects in them. I'm going to grab the drone footage folder, my Inspire 2 folder, and I'm going to go to Beach, Canon Beach. That's going to drill down into that folder. So let's take a look inside this first folder. I'll double click on it, and when I click on a piece of footage, it shows up on the video area. There's also metadata. If this isn't highlighted, if it's in audio or capture, and then we'll click back on metadata. And what that's telling me is information about the clip. What codec is being used, how many frames per second, the size of it. This is UHD 4K, and it's telling me there's no audio with this clip. We'll come back to the metadata area, but suffice it to say that once we add this to our project, we can add our own metadata to help us sort and organize these clips. So how do I get the clip into the project? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first way would be just to right click on it and add into media pool. Now what this is telling me is that the project settings are different than the frame rate on the clip. I'm going to go ahead and have it change to the clips. There may be times when I don't want to do that, but in this case I'm going to. So we'll change it, and you can see that it gets added to our media pool. Now with the clip selected, I could go over here and I could add a description, comments. I can add metadata for all of these things. I'll let you explore those in more detail at this point. We can also add a color. So I could say, okay, I want to use this color to identify that clip. And you can see down here, it's now got clip color associated with it. Now let's take a look at how this window is organized. If we come over to the top left, you can see there's a little button here. If we click on that, what that does is that narrows the window, but it gives me much more information about what's in the on the drive. If I click it again, it takes me back to this original. I can turn on or off media storage so that I can see the clip more readily. And we're not going to talk about the clone tool today. Perhaps I'll do that in a future one. Now, moving to the right, we can view this either as small clips, and in this version, we can use this slider to increase the size of the clip that it shows us. We can also do it in a list view. If we have a lot of clips in here, we can do a search and type in that information and find the clip based upon the search criteria. If we click on this, we're going to stick with show audio waveforms. We'll come back to individual frames perhaps in a future video. The next drop down allows us to zoom into this clip at a specific level or just fit. And then on the right here, there's more information here. This is more advanced information, and we're just not going to worry about that today. As I slide to the right, we've got another set of buttons, the 3 dots. There's not much going on here. And then if we click here, you can see that there's a lot of different metadata that we can be addressing, working with, updating. Now as I move further right and up in the upper right corner, if I click here, you can see it does the same thing as what happened on the left. It allows more of the media, the lower media area, to be viewed. If I click it again, it's going to show me metadata. Now moving down into the media area, here, the media that is actually in the project, we can view in this mode. And again, we can change the size if we want larger clips. We can view it in list mode. Now this is new to DaVinci. If we click on this little drop down, we can have multiple views into the media data. If we click here, it's a side-by-side view. Now I don't have another bin for us to look in, so let's go over to here in master, and we'll right click on it and we'll add a bin, and we'll call this media page. Now what we can do is we can say, I want media page to be showing here, and I just want the master to be showing here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take and drag this clip into the media page bin, and so you'll notice that it no longer shows on the master, but it does on the media page. So it's possible for me to have a view of 2 bins at the same time. There's also an option in the drop down to have them stacked one on top of the other, depending on how large your screen is and what your preference is for working with this. And let's look at the 3 dots here. This is just showing us the film strip itself, and if we want to see audio waveforms in it as well. The last piece I'll share with you is timelines. There's times, no pun intended, where I just want to look at the timelines, and we haven't created one, so it's not showing us anything. So let's do that. Let's go back to our media page on the left side here. I'm going to switch back to a single view just to keep it simple. And I'm going to right click on that clip. We could select more than one, but for this example, we're going to just stick with one. And at the very top, create new timeline using selected clips. And I'm going to call this one media page. So now we have a timeline. So let's go back to our timelines bin, our smart bin. And there we go. There's our media page. The last thing I'm going to show you is how do we take this timeline and work on it. Simplest way is to double click it. That takes us to the edit window. Notice how the clip is in this bright orange color. So that's a quick overview of the media page in DaVinci Resolve 15 Beta. I hope you've enjoyed this and it's been helpful. And I'll see you in the next video where we'll deal with the basics of the edit page.